Welcome back to Arcade. I am Super Tommy, and this is a series on creating a dungeon crawler in Phasers 3. Now, in the last part, we implemented. What did we implement? This feign animation for sure, but we did something else before that. And now I have this breakpoint. Let's see. On breakpoint. We have these collisions with our lizard, and oh yes, this health UI is what we did. So we have this health UI here. You see I got hit and I lost the health. And then when we lose all our hearts, we die. But we're still getting pushed away, so that's not ideal. So we're going to fix that, and then we're going to implement throwing knives. That's what we're going to do in this video. So once our player is dead, we actually don't need the collision anymore. So let's see, how should we do that? So first of all, we do want to, when we die, set our velocity to 0, 0 so that we stop moving if we were moving. And then in game, what we have is this collider right here. And we need to destroy that collider to have our lizards stop colliding with our player. So this collider returns us an actual collider, physics.arcade.collider, as you can see. So we got to store a reference to this and then destroy it. So let's just here in this game scene class, private, let's just call this player lizards collider, and it's going to be a phaser physics.arcade.collider. And this could be null. We're not going to just say, trust me, TypeScript, this is not null, because we will be deleting it, so in fact it could be null. Player, boom. So we're going to save that there. And then if this dot fane dot health is less than equals 0, so this is when she has died or fainted, we're going to do dot destroy. Boom. So let's just see how this works. Hit. Now, of course, the lizard didn't run into me. Will it run into me? I don't want to sit here and wait for it. Let's do it again. Come on. Wow, really, you lizard? There we go. Collision doesn't work anymore. So that's as we expect, that's what we want. I'm going to close out these files. Let's bring up the debugger. Causing a little frame rate thing that you saw. Okay, so there's that. Now we can probably clean this up a little bit and handle this from within our player class. We're gonna leave that for you if you want to do that. You don't really need to until you get a lot more of these realistically. So there's that. So now let's start doing throwing knives because that's more fun. So we have a knife. We have a knife image weapons. Here's our knife weapon. There it is. It's a very simple knife. What we're going to do is throw the knife when we press space. And so you see our image is facing right. Since Phaser is a right-hand rotation system, this is 0, as you have right now. So when we rotate it, if this is 0, all our math is going to work out much more easily than having to account for it by adjusting the rotation based on wherever our knife is pointing. So just for your own sanity, you may want to make all your assets that need to be rotated right facing, right pointing, if it's a pointing asset. Okay, so with knives, we're going to use groups because let's just say we let her throw 3 knives at a time, and we want to pull that, and a group will help us do that. Pull it so that we only have 3 knives. We don't got to keep making new knives as we throw them. It's a performance thing, and since Phaser comes with groups that does this for us, it is almost free. Okay, so a knife will simply be a physics image. So I don't think we did a special class for that. So let's collapse this. And let's say we make a group of knives. So this dot add dot group and class type phaser, oh no, this dot physics dot add dot group, because this is a physics object. The knives have to collide with the wall. We don't have to, but definitely with the lizards. Class type, and we're gonna do image. You probably don't actually need to do this. A sprite, I think, is the default, and that's probably fine, but we're gonna just be specific and specify image, because our knives have no animation, so an image is fine. And we are gonna do the throwing logic in our player class, because our player throws the knives. That's how we're gonna structure this. I'm trying to think if there's any issues with that, and we may come across them later. But that's probably okay for now. And last thing, we do know that the knives will have to collide with the wall. So knives, well, at least I want to make collide with the wall. And lizards. Dot collider knife lizards. And then we should probably handle that here. So let's just say private handle knife lizard collision, and then object one phaser dot game objects dot game object object two phaser dot game objects game object. We're just calling them object one and object two because I'm not always sure which one is sent in what order. The phaser docs may say, but I haven't actually seen it in them, so I'm not exactly sure. It seems, in my experience, it seems like it sometimes is depending on how you, if you say, you know, player walls layer, sometimes you, or like A, B, sometimes B comes in as the first parameter, sometimes A comes in as the first parameter. I'm not sure. It's not totally random. It does seem to depend upon what you put in here as object one and object two, but not exactly the order you put them in as. So we can just log them out, see what it is, and then know what to do with them. Okay, back here. This dot handle knife lizard collision, no process, context this. Okay. All right. So now we have this knives group. We want our character to throw it. So what we're going to do is give our character the knives group that we just created. So we're going to create a setter, set knives, and knives, and it will be a phaser.physics.arcade.group. Great. Okay, so now we're going to store this knives phaser.physics.arcade.group, and this will also in fact be null. So this dot knives gets knives, and let's see, pre-update cursors. So if cursors, so on spacebar, space dot, so we don't want is down, we're just throwing knives constantly. We want just down, and we can do that using import.keyboard.justDown. This is a static method on the keyboard manager, the phaser keyboard manager, and we're going to say trust me, space exists. And if it is pressing space, we're not going to do move, so you can't both move in the same frame that you're throwing a knife. We're just going to do it this way. And here we're going to throw a knife. So let's make a method here, private throw knife. And so I'm going to call it throw knife, this throw knife, this dot throw knife. Now we want to throw it in the direction the player is facing. So we know that on a combination of the animation key and the scale X. So let's see, this dot anims dot current anim dot key. So we did this previously. We split the key into the three parts because we named it that way, if you recall, in a older video or a previous part of this series. So let's go down here and show you. Like we name them all like this, so they're a consistent naming, right? Type, fauna, state, run or idle, and then the direction, right? so up, down. And so we split it here to get idle. That was really easy. We just changed the middle part and then we join them again. So in the same vein, we split it by dash. That means the last part gives us the direction, right? Let's just say parts 0, 1, 2. So we know it's 2. So let's switch direction. And what we know is there's up is 1. And we know down is another. And then we know side, right? But side can be left or right side. So that has slightly different logic there. Okay, so if it is up, so let's just make a vector here, new phasor.math.vector2. And we'll just say, I don't know, default, we're going to just throw side. Default. So up. So up is 0 on the x, we already know that. So y is going to be -1. So we know 0, -1, up. And then 0, 1 is down. And now the side. So if this dot scale x is less than 0, that means we're facing left. And so then our vector is going to be -1. And then else, we're just going to assume if the scale x is not less than 0, it's going to be 1. So that if for some reason the scale is 0, you're also going to be assumed to be facing right. Okay, so now we have that. We have this direction, a direction vector effectively. And we're going to throw a knife based on the direction vector. So first thing, we're going to rotate the knife, right? We did not load the knife texture yet. So first thing we need is to do that, but let's get the rotation. So const angle vec.angle gives us a angle in radians. And then we're gonna make a knife here. So this dot knives dot get, and well, really, if there's no knives, if for some reason we did not set the knives group, we will do nothing, so that we don't need to do this optional chaining operator. Oops. Dot get, what do we want? Okay, number, which is going to be, let's just for now start in the middle of the character. This dot y. Now we need the texture key, which we do not know, we don't have yet. And frame, we don't have. Knife. Okay, so knife dot set rot as phasor dot physics dot arcade dot image. That's what we're making. Rotation. Right, this takes a rotation in radians, just angle. And then, so we will have to add this, right? This is a to-do, don't forget. Now we're gonna send this knife. So knife.setVelocity vec.x. Let's just say we're gonna move at, this speed. Okay, beautiful. Preload. We need to actually load this knife image. So I'm gonna call this knife. We put in weapons. Let's just see. Weapons, weapon underscore knife. Weapon underscore knife dot png. So that's loaded. No error, good. So game, here's our knives group, right? We made that here. Here's our player. Now let's give our player these knives. Set knives. If I do this, what happens? Well, there's a thing, the picture is wrong. Oh, because, right, we left it as blank. Knife. Boom. Stabbed them, and then that was that. Okay, let's see. we need to, of course, return this knife to the group. Why is it not filling anymore? Oh, something is wrong with our facing left logic. Let's see. Vec minus 1. If this dot scale x, right? That's what we're doing. Yep, this dot scale x. Vec x, vec y. It's not even rotating right, is it? This dot scale x. Wow. Okay. This. No. Okay. Let's just refresh this. I think there's too much stuff going on here. Firefox is having a hard time. Can I just close this tab? There we go. Okay. Before we bring that back, so we know we need to enter it back. So we know that when that goes, we need to bring it back into the group. Let's see how we should go about this. So we have our knives in here. The collision is here. So we want to also collide with walls layer. So we do have to handle private handle knife wall collision. So it would be this. Boom. Okay. Handle knife wall collision. This dot handle knife wall collision. The process is undefined. We don't need it. And then the context is this. So let's log that out. Object 1. Let's see which is the knife and which is the wall. Inspect. Concept. So let's see. First one is the knife. So object 1 is the knife. Object 2 is the wall. So object 1 is the knife. Let's just stop that. Object 1 as phaser dot. Actually, I don't need to do that. So I want to return the knife. So I actually don't need. We can put it right in here. Actually, is that better? Let me think. Either I store a reference to the knives group, or I can just use a lambda arrow function syntax anonymous function in here. Okay. No, there's no good answer. Not sure. Okay, so we are going to, let's just store these knives. Private knives. Trust me, it exists. Phaser dot physics dot arcade dot group. And if this ends up being less than great, we can always change it. Okay. Okay, great. This dot knives, this. Okay. So we know object 1 is the knife. So this dot knives dot kill and hide. Right? When it touches the wall, kill and hide. So that does mean if we do that, when we create a new one, no, we don't do that here. We do that here. No, not here. We do that in the throw knives. So when we throw a knife, we're doing this dot get. Where's my mouse? This dot gets. So the knife that we're getting, we're going to have to make sure that it is active. Is that active? True, because kill and hide or hide and kill will set active to false and set visible to false. So we're going to make sure those are true when we create the knife. So let's see. So when we hit the wall, it goes away. Okay, we do still have a bug going that way. Okay, good, we're getting there. So now, why exactly when I go left, scale X less than 0, side, default. Did I miss a break somewhere? No. Let's see, debugger. Let's whip up this debugger. One A. Get rid of this. Let's see. Throw knife. Throw knife. Okay. Facing this way, throw knife. Parts. Fun A idle side as expected. Direction side. Direction scale X. So vec X is -1. Break. Angle, this is something in radians. Oh. This happened. Did I make this up? Well, strange. Try that again. Okay, make sure I didn't make that up. Vec. Yep, 0. Vec.x. Is this a read-only? Oh my goodness. Missed the equal sign. All right. Okay. Boom. Let's just get rid of the debug draw so we can actually see this tiny, tiny knife. Nope. Why is it invisible? The knives are definitely invisible. Did I say false? Why is it false deny? Throw knife. Why did I do that? Why didn't none of y'all tell me? Okay, there we go. Throw knives like a boss. Now we need to handle hitting these lizards. 23-minute video currently. Can we do this in time? So a similar thing. So if we did it this way, probably the first thing, I don't know. Let's see. Now let's see. Let's see. I could have just checked. First thing is the knife. Okay, so when we hit the lizard, first thing is the knife. Okay, so we're gonna do the same thing, kill and hide that, and then we want to also kill the lizards. So this is the same thing, and save the lizards group, or have a class property rather for the lizards group. Trust me, it exists. That's what the exclamation mark here is for in TypeScript. Lizards. List.lizards. List.lizards. Just copy this dot. One more. Okay. And then we're going to do lizards. That same thing, but for object 2. Right? That's right. I think that's right at least. All right, lizard. Your man. Boom. And there we go. Lizard is dead. There we go. Okay, so we got throwing knives. We can throw knives into walls and it disappears. We can also fix where she's going. How much time we got? 25 minutes. That's how much this video's been. Let's do that before we wrap this up. We're going to move the knife some amount over. So here's what we can do. It's actually pretty easy. So let's see. Let's rotate it first. And then knife dot set position knife dot x plus equals, I guess we can put it up there. It doesn't matter. I'll just separate it into 2 lines so it's a little bit easier. And we're going to go, I don't know, 16 knife dot y plus equals times 16. Yeah, that should be right. I'm going to say that we should normalize the vector, but the way we have the vector is just going to be right. So there we go. Now we're throwing it from the front. So we're not throwing it out of her own head. Boom. All right, so there it is. We have throwing knives. It throws into walls. Yes, this wall we may want to fix later, but when it hits the walls, it will disappear. When it hits the lizard, as you saw, it kills the lizard and the sword goes away. So that's attacking with knives from the player. Now in the next video, we are going to add some treasure chests and add some more UI here so that you can collect coins and for it to show up in the UI.